Hey guys, we're back, baby. It's been a minute. It's been a long minute. I've been working a long time.
It's been a couple minutes.
Yeah, it's been like a lifetime, dude. I missed
Just
you,
been fucking
Rumi.
around.
It's been
I missed
too
you too.
long.
It's been way too long. It's weird to not talk to you often.
I know, right? We got some exciting things. We put in our panels for San Diego. That's exciting.
Yeah, so everyone cross your fingers. We hopefully have good news for that. I put in 2 panels, so we'll see if they get accepted. But Rumi and I are, as always, I was gonna say Rumi and I are excited, but we're always excited about our stuff because we're just excitable little bunnies.
Today we're talking about some fun stuff. We're catching up, man. It's been a while. I showed my kid all 3 Star Wars films, so I'm excited to talk about that. I've also been watching some French New Wave, so we got some interesting, different out of the wheelhouse movies to talk about.
Interesting. I've actually watched a bunch of stuff, certainly since last time we talked. Been reading some comics too, which is good to feel like I'm finally like reading again, like reading more consistently. And I have some interesting movie picks and some not, well, I mean, they're interesting, but some wins and some fails.
Ooh, sometimes the fail is as good as a win. Are any of these so bad that they are good?
No, none that are so bad that they're good. There's just a couple that like were unsatisfactory, or I was like, really? That's the sum total of everything that you put together? It's not bad, but like definitely I would tell you not worth the check, you know?
All right. Well, we'll find out. Before we do, guys, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X, and Blue Sky at Launchpad Pod, and our website, launchpadpod.com. And check us out on YouTube to see our handsome faces being funny and silly. Tell your friends about us, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. I think I've said all the things. Let's get on with the show.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hit record at the beginning.
All
so I
right.
just started now.
I just pressed the button.
That's what you get. Sorry. Carry on. All right. So here we go. Live at the Launchpad Podcast. All right. Welcome to the Launchpad Podcast. I'm Aaron. I'm Matt.
It's like the first time we ever did this. We've been away so long.
We were actually better at it. We were better at it back then.
Oh my God, what happened to us?
We didn't have 4-second delays back in the day.
No, the internet was better back then. Thanks.
I remember
Obama.
My grandfather used to love it. He used to walk 15 miles in the snow both ways just to get to the internet.
Just to get to the internet. And then when he plugged it in, it screamed in pain. Ah! And then maybe we should have listened. Oh boy, we're back, baby. We're gonna talk about some movies and comics and bullshit. Dude, I got to share Star Wars with my daughter Samantha.
This is like a huge moment. It's not even just rite of passage. It's just like it's in passing this knowledge. It's cave drawings on the side of the cave to show your children how to like beware of carnivores and shit. It's that level of passing something down, right?
When my wife told me that she was pregnant, the first thing you say is like, "Yeah, all right." You know, the first rational thought that I had, I say, I'm going to get to share Star Wars with them. That was one of the first rational thoughts that came to my head, other than
Sure.
I was so excited to do this. She's too young for it, by the way. But
Sure. That's okay though.
she was old enough to sit for 2 hours and old enough to not be too scared. So I was like, let's do it. And we've been doing one every weekend. And every one of those has been split into, we watch half of it Saturday and half of it Sunday. Awesome. Awesome.
What? All right. So
So
first question right away is, what order did you go?
New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi. Also, in our household, Han shoots first. I got those D specialized edition. I don't have that Java.
I would not show Ken the
bullshit.
other one first.
Yeah, none of that bullshit. Max Rebo is a 3-piece band. None of that bullshit. Like, I got, this is a bullshit-free viewing. In our house, Han
Boba
shoots
Fett is
first.
not flirting with a bunch of dancing girls.
No, yeah. The Sarlacc pit does not have extra pod mouths. Fuck that. We are
The
straightforward.
Sarlacc pit is a girl
forward.
and not a boy. That's what you're saying.
Yes, it is the vagina dentata of the sand in our household. She dug it. Some great nuggets to come out of a 4-year-old's mouth. Hey, Daddy, if that's Obi-Wan, is there an Obi-2?
Love it.
Lots to explain to her. You have to field 1,000 questions a minute when you have a 3 or 4-year-old. Just in general, Star Wars makes it even worse. Also, from a fairly aware kid, she knows that it's all make believe, that it's all costumes, that it's all Halloween, right? We're big on explaining that, so she's not afraid of Freddy, Jason, zombies. My job. But now she's watching and she goes, Daddy, is that a robot in the movie? Or is there a little man inside that costume in the movie? And I'm
Good
like,
question. Good question.
right. She's like, what is it supposed to be? But by the time we get to Jedi, she gets it. Admiral Akbar comes on. He's got eyes on the side of his head. She goes, how does the man in that costume see? And I was like, that's a
Fair.
great kid. Yeah. I'm like, probably through his nose. And she's like, how do you see through your nose? And I was like, well, remember, if he's wearing a mask, you can see it. She was like, oh, yeah. Awesome. She loved it. I was worried that Empire was going to be boring for her because we don't have cantina scenes. We don't have as many things happening, but she was into it. She was like, the walkers were cool. The snow beast Wampa was cool. Tauntaun. She's like, why'd they cut him open? Does he smell good? He smells bad. Like, loved all that shit. Yoda, so on board, dude. She had a moment where she was like, wait, Luke doesn't know who Yoda is? I know who Yoda is.
There's no way his midichlorian count is higher than mine. He doesn't even know about Yoda.
Yeah. When he goes into the Nightmare Cave, is there an official name for this thing?
Let's call it the Force Cave.
The Force Cave, yeah. I'm explaining to her because it's a scary moment. I say, hey, he's going to go in there. He's going to see what makes him scared, what he's afraid of. Darth Vader pops out. Luke cuts his head off. The mask burns away, featuring Luke's face. And I say, oh, what does that mean? What is Luke afraid of? And she goes, getting his head cut off. Not wrong.
No, during a quick Google search, has Wikipedia and a couple other sites, including StarWars.com, calling it Cave of Evil, which I think is a little sophomoric, but let's go with it.
I mean, Star Wars isn't known for its highbrow, high-level naming.
I would call it the
conventions.
lopped-off bucket cave.
Yeah. But so then I was like, well, no, he's afraid of becoming his Darth Vader. When we get to the whole time we're watching Empire, I had promised somebody's losing a hand. And she was like, did they lose a hand? Did he lose a hand yet? Daddy, did he lose a hand?
Did that hand get off?
Yeah. And it's like, you will know when it happens, kid. I will not let you down. But every second, the fight scene was like epic for her. She's like, and then when Darth Vader gives him the Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No, I am your. She just lost it. She goes, what did he say? What did he say? Why did Obi-Wan lie? Why did Obi-Wan lie? I was like, yeah, Obi-Wan shouldn't be lying. And it was so good. She loves Jedi. We've done Jedi twice now. We did it back-to-back weekends. She loves Princess Leia's gold costume because she's like, she gets to show her belly.
Don't we all? Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we all do. She loves Jabba the Hutt. She thinks that scene's cool. And then the Emperor was a white knuckle experience, though. She sat between Kate and I, holding on to both of us, like in headlocks, just going, ah! She's fried.
Who held on to you? Because I remember when we would watch that, you were pretty scared.
I mean, yeah, but you don't have the hug of a 4-year-old, man. Like, you have this nice, like, soft.
Oh, yeah, that shit's tight.
She's just like, yeah. And I was like,
It's less of a hug, and it's like it's less of a physical show of affection and more of a submission hold.
Yeah, you're about to pass out.
Yeah.
When Darth Vader chokes out like the multiple minions that he does in Empire, she's like, he make him throw up. I was like, yep. Yeah, he threw up. Loves the Ewoks.
I like that that's how she interpreted his force power.
He's making him throw
Force
up.
regurgitation.
She was so stoked to find out that Leia could become a Jedi. She's like, is she going to get magic powers too? And I'm like, not for 30 years, kid. Don't worry.
Yeah, and then when that happens, it's kind of a letdown.
She was super stoked to see Darth Vader's face. And we had explained that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader used to be friends, but Darth Vader fell in lava. Who pushed him in the lava? Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's not nice. Yeah. Yeah. It has been slam dunk. Now, like, we've been playing Trash Compactor every day. And she's like, Daddy, I'm Princess Leia. And I was like, obviously. And I was like, I'm
Get
Luke
that belly button
Skywalker.
out.
Yeah.
When we used to play in our apartment, which we used to call the launch pad, Rumi used to always want to be Princess Leia for that same reason.
Yep.
I'm glad that you're finally sharing.
I just used a bath towel as my little.
I remember.
Some dinner plates for my little saucers. Woo.
I remember.
So I'm like, am I Luke Skywalker? And she just looks at me and goes, no, Daddy, you're Chewie.
Yeah, I think you're the chewiest of. Chewie is the youest of all of them. But yeah,
well,
I agree.
I'm like, why am I Chewie? And she's like, Daddy, you're hairy. It's like obviously, idiot. You're gonna be Chewbacca. And then Kate's like, well, who do I get to be? And she's like, you're Han on the wall.
During the trash compactor scene, like she wasn't allowed to be like active involved, Han.
No, we have I found 2 Beanie Babies of C-3PO and R2-D2 from like way back in the day. Mm-hmm. And they were mine and I had them here. So they stay up on the shelf and we get to yell, shut down the trash compactors on the detention level. Oh, shut them all down.
They're dying, R2. That's
C-3PO
awesome.
is hysterical. When I was a kid, I thought he was lame. As I get older, I'm like, that guy's funny.
As I get older, I start to identify with him a bit because I'm like, yeah, I'd actually like to be swashbuckling. I'd like to be running from bounty hunters. But at the same time, can't we all just sit down for a minute? Like, let's discuss this and then maybe delegate this to a fighter squadron. I don't know if I want to jump into a starship myself. I have some other stuff I need to do today. There's other life forms dependent on me. Yeah, my back hurts. I'm kind of tired. I had a long day thus far. I don't know if I need to start another adventure. It's almost 7.
One of my favorite quotes is when Luke, Han, and they all get kidnapped by Jabba the Hutt. And Han and the Wookiee are brought in. And he goes, how we doing, kid? And Luke goes, about as good as usual.
Same as always.
Yeah, that bad, huh? And I was just like, I want more in between adventures. You could literally have an animated series of the in between adventures of them going that bad, same as always. You know, I would love that. Have you watched the Droids cartoon?
Yes. Like recently, you mean?
Yeah, we started watching it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not terrible.
No, and it is awesome in that although it is R2 and 3PO, It's not really Vader. There's a little bit of Boba Fett, but you don't really have any other canonical characters. It's this whole other. There's the Empire is there, but like it's a whole other series of adventures, which is what a lot of us, me, you, and a couple other Star Wars buddies, are always asking for. It's like, stop telling us about the Skywalker lineage. There's billions of other creatures and beings and people in the galaxy. Let's hear some of those stories. And you follow this weird band of like pirate racing kind of guys, and there's a chunk of the Empire is after them. And it's really interesting because it's not the same story. It's not explaining how Darth Vader became Darth Vader again. You're like, okay, tell me this whole new thing. And Ewoks is a little bit more accessible, I think, because it's in a pocket. Whereas the other one is just like, all right, in this episode, they're freaking doing this. And you're like, what? But
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I really like it. It has a banger of a theme song. Trouble again.
Hell yeah, it does. Totally nothing like you'd think for a Star Wars cartoon. Although Ewoks is weird too. Ewoks is just Ewoks, and we're one big happy family.
I haven't watched the Ewok cartoon show yet. So I'll give it a shot. But I'm actually like pretty into droids right now, which is kind of funny because again, I would have thought it to be lame, but it's not the worst.
And I'll drop this. You know that is literally on Disney Plus in a very large part because of me, right?
I want you to tell that this is what I'm plying this story for.
Okay.
Setting you up, Rumi. That's why we're podcast buddies.
If there's one thing we're good at, it's podcast transitions. If there's two things we're good at, it's pointing out seamless transitions. Like, I don't know, like 8 years ago or something, like it was probably about 2 years before Droids, Ewoks, the two live action Ewok movies, and the Star Wars Christmas special Boba Fett cartoon. It was before those were on Disney Plus. I have a bootleg Christmas special, and I invited a bunch of couples in our neighborhood up and down our street to watch it, including this one really cool, slightly nerdy guy. By slightly nerdy, he knew Star Wars. He came and he brought his wife, who worked for Disney and literally worked for Disney Plus in the acquisition of new things. And she was working with Lucasfilm at the time. And she had heard of the whole night had started because I had said, oh, have you heard about the Christmas special? And she says, yes, I know all about it. And Lucasfilm said they will never, ever release it. We've tried. People in the office know about it, and fans have petitioned. They'll never release it. And I was like, oh, it's a shit show. You should come over and watch it. And then we watched it, and I was like, you should see if Lucasfilm will just release the cartoon, because the cartoon is actually pretty decent and it holds up and it makes sense. It's not the shit show that the Christmas special is. And from there, I was like, there was a Droids cartoon show, and there was actually a Droids cartoon movie that was like a made-for-TV movie on Disney Plus right now. It's called the second or third season, whatever the last season is. They just mushed it into a movie. But I was like, I've never had that. My mom taped it as a kid, and then we taped over it, and I never had it again. Can you put it on Disney Plus just so that I could watch it? And she's like, I'll talk to them. And lo and behold, she literally did. And it turned into, I think they were calling it the Vintage Collection. And it was the two short Clone Wars series, the two Ewok movies, the Ewok cartoon, the Droids cartoon, and the Christmas special thing. That was literally my idea that I told her. And when she told me, hey, you're never going to guess what's happening, I think she said like next month. And when she told me, I was like, all right, before I start tooting my own horn, how much of this is because of the conversation we had, and how much of it was like behind the scenes shit that was going on anyway? She's like, no, it is like directly from that conversation. So I was like, great. I get a lot of money for that, right?
I mean, You might as well sing that Moana song. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Seriously, dude. That's we've done some cool things. You've done some cool things. That's one of the coolest things you've ever done.
Because I gave to the people, right? Now, like, your daughter has access to the Droids cartoon show with their crazy theme song. Can we play a part of that theme song?
No, we'll get shut down by Disney. Spotify comes
wait,
at me once a month.
If we get shut
Spotify
down by
comes at
Disney, someone
Yeah.
at Disney could probably in the future be like, can we release that Launchpad episode that just has that clip? And they'll be like, the Launchpad will say, no, we're never releasing that. And Disney can say, what if you just release that one clip of the song?
Once a month, I have to defend us to Spotify on various things that we've used too much of a song for. They're like, you hummed a Whitney Houston tune for your Bodyguard episode. We like, ugh. And then I have to go, I'm allowed to do that. I'm a podcaster. And they don't come back to me for another month. And then they're like, oh, hey, you used too much of the song Like a Rock when we were doing some like ridiculous, I don't know, advert episode where we were talking about shitty advertisements. And then Spotify goes, hey, you're not allowed to use that song. And I go, it's parody. I'm allowed to. And they're like, and then they don't come back to me.
That means somebody's listening somewhere. Even if it's a robot, someone is listening.
Right? Yeah.
That's the last episode of Droids. That's what canceled that. That's what canceled that cartoon show. Is there's an episode of them listening to shitty podcasts that tried to make Like a Rock parody songs, and they were like, no kids watch this.
Well, because like when we're watching the Droid show, I'm like, I think Matt had something to do with this, but I can't remember what it is. So I'm glad you shared the story, and I'll try to remember
That's
the story.
What it is.
Have you watched the Gremlins cartoon show?
All right. So I watched it with Kent maybe like the year it came out. And I don't even know if we made it through the first episode. And we recently watched both Gremlins movies, which he loves now. And he liked a lot as a kid, but it was before he was really like contextually understanding and watching a full movie. Now he's all about it. He knows the mythos and everything, and it's fresh in his mind. And I was like, maybe we should go back and rewatch that. I do remember being slightly underwhelmed by it. But like I said, I don't know how much I actually watched of it. Have you watched more than a minute?
We finished the first, well, there's only 2 seasons. We finished the whole thing, and Sammy digs it. She digs it. It is not what you think Gremlins are going to be, but when it comes to a show that I'm showing a pre-K kid, it's great. It's fantastic for that. If you're
no old ladies are ejected out of a second floor window.
Oh, lots of people die, dude.
Oh, nice.
Again, it's like that off-screen stuff, but you're like dead. There's lots of ghosts. There's tons of like there's zombies on The Rock. There's the hopping vampires at one point. Like I just dig what it was doing. Monster of the Week shit. The thing that my big complaint is you can absolutely tell the moment that Max said, hurry it up, guys. We're going to cancel it after this. Just
right.
Let's hurry up the story. And then they're like, oh, shit. And they like pack a whole bunch in. And I think a lot of times also they're like, what do you want? We're a Gremlins cartoon show. So like, just deal with it, which I also think is a cheap like thing, but I dig it. I love the Monster of the Week stuff. I love the characters. I like the mythos. I love the voice acting in it. It's just having fun, and I'm not stuck up enough about Gremlins to not have fun with it. Whereas if you go to Reddit, there's a lot of adults who are like, it's for kids, I hate it. And you're like, dude, you're like older than me, and Gremlins was never that big of a franchise for you to get this upset about. Like I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah.
Here's a quick, well, it doesn't have to be quick. We don't really have an agenda specifically for this episode other than catching each other up. But do you think that you, and maybe you and I, and maybe people like us, might be more accepting of a show like this Gremlins cartoon because we now have little legacy creatures to share this shit with and pass it down to? So my question being, if you and I were the roomies that we were 20 years ago in our apartment and that cartoon came out, we'd be like, would we be like, oh, this is baby shit. This is for kids. They're changing it because we didn't have an attachment to it. Now that you have Sammy and I have Kent, we now have that gateway that we could like literally hold their hands and walk them through Gremlins or walk them through Star Wars or walk them through. Kent and I have been doing old school Care Bears, man. And it's like, I think it helps us see it through a different eye that we have that little sidekick now to share it with. And even though you're like, this isn't my Gremlins per se, or this isn't my Star Wars thing, it's yours now. And even if it's not ours, it's yours, and I can enjoy it from that.
Two parts to that. One, yes. Two, it's not Pinkalicious or Daniel Tiger or Eleanor Wonders.
Yeah.
I could be watching those, which, while educational and entertaining for that child, I'm getting very little out of. Whereas Gremlins, I'm at least like, hey, it's Gremlins.
I like Gremlins. Yeah.
I like Gremlins. And even though people are like, oh, I don't like this or that about it, it's like, guys, did you watch Gremlins 2? Like, that just threw every pile of shit at the wall, and some of it stuck and some of it didn't. The show is in the same vein. Like, let's just get wacky, have a good time, see where this character goes. And I'm like, cool, I'm down.
All right. I'll give it a shot. I'm trying to think what Kent, like I said, Kent and I just started doing Care Bears. His favorite character is No Heart, which is not a Care Bear. He's the evil villain guy who kind of looks like the Emperor, and he's got like a shadowed face with big red eyes. That's his favorite. That's his next costume that he wants to assemble out of different things that he's making. But he loves it. And it's funny. They say that like your sense of smell is the one most closely related to memory, and that when you smell something or think about a memory of a smell, it really accesses that memory for you. I had that like with the first 10 to 20 seconds of watching a Care Bears episode. And it wasn't the first episode, it was later, but it was in the first series. And the Care Bear cousins were already involved. But like 2 or 3 of the voices hit me right away. And it smacked me directly into my childhood. It was like, I remember that voice was a Care Bear, a Transformer, an Ewok, and something else that I can't quite place. But I remember that guy's voice was everywhere. And then you're hearing the episode, and the No Heart has this little brown, hairy turd kind of character who's like his little sidekick. And you're like, oh, that guy is the same voice as that and the same voice as that. And it just ripped me right back there, like immediately. And it very much was like that feeling of when you smell something and it whips you back. But it was with my ears. My ears were smelling.
That's bizarre. It's waiting for you to be like, rip me back to my childhood, and I smelled the popcorn or something. I was waiting for a smell to come into it, and you're like, I remember.
My ears were doing the smelling.
My mom took me to the mall to meet the Care Bears, and they were like abominations in horrible like furry suits. And I just remember the smell while I hugged them, just being like,
this sounds like your trauma, dude.
No, but we all had that moment where you're like, hey, do you want to meet Mickey Mouse? And you're like, that's not Mickey Mouse. Just like, you want to meet the Easter Bunny? And you're like, yeah. Then you see it and you're like, nah. Get me far away. I know what bunnies look like. I know what the Easter Bunny looks like. That's a guy in a creepo suit. Get me out of here.
I have the best picture, and I'm sure I've shown it to you, Rooms, but I have a picture of me as a baby screaming my head off on Santa's lap. And you're like, it's one of those, until you look at the murderous Santa eyeballs and you see him and he is not having it. And he legitimately looks. Christmas Horror is my favorite horror movie, probably because of this experience. But like, I've never seen a killer Santa in a film scarier than this actual Santa that was sitting on his lap. There's no way, I'm telling you now, there's no way he wasn't murdering kids. I don't know how to go back and track that, but I can ask my mom if she knows where that picture was taken. But for sure, there were kids missing in the area.
Dude, I'm trying to track down a childhood.
Those dead kids' parents are listening to this episode right now and crying. And Whitney Houston is listening to this episode and being like, go ahead, sing it again so I can call my lawyers.
Pay me, motherfucker. I'm trying to track down a childhood picture of me in my Kankenstein costume. We've talked about the Kankenstein costume on the air.
That'll be our next Launchpad shirt if you can find it.
Me and the Kank. Well, so it in my head, it's a Ben Cooper mask, but it has long wig hair attached to it. I can't find a version of that anywhere. And if you go down the deep dive of vacuum form plastic masks from the mid to late 80s, that are Ben Cooper-esque, Ben Cooper knockoffs. I'm like, ones with hair, I can't find it anywhere. Reddit was like, you're full of shit. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm like, Mom, is there a picture of me in the Kankenstein costume? She's like, yeah, I don't know where it is, but yeah. Like,
you know what
oh,
happened?
thanks.
Your mom waited until October 28th to go get you a costume. And all you wanted was a frickin' Frankenstein that you couldn't pronounce. And all they had left was actual Kankensteins. And it was like, it was like the beginning of Child's Play. There was a guy in the alley with a band. He's like, yo, you want the Frankenstein costume or not? And she looked at it. She's like, this is not Ben Cooper. And this is definitely not Frankenstein. He's like, look, do you want it or not? She's like, yeah, I'll take it. And then she gave it to you and you were correct. It wasn't because you were a stupid kid. It was Gankenstein.
It was Kankenstein. So I'm trying to track it down because I want to know. I want to know what version I had, and it's
funny. Have you ever followed one of those threads where you're like, you know what? I remember X, and you Google it, you talk to people, you go to toy shows, whatever, and then you find it, and you're like, absolutely, this is the thing I was thinking about, but this is not how I remember it. But you know that it is the same. It's not that that's a different item. You're like, this is not how my brain archived it. Do you ever have that?
Yeah. All the time, dude. We're old. Yes, all the time.
I have that
Yes.
daily about shit that happened yesterday.
Yeah, 100% all the time. Like, yes, I remember this, and then you're like, but it was with the black thing, the black suitcase, and my family would be like, it was a green suitcase. You're like, no, it wasn't. I remember distinctly, and everybody's like, you're colorblind or dumb. I don't know which.
Most of the time, I'll have it, and I'll think of something, and when I find it, it's close or very close, and you're like, okay, I see that I was wrong about the shape or where it ended or whatever, but most of the time it's close. Sometimes it is way the fuck off. And you're like, oh, I know it was orange and pointy. And then you see it was green and round. And you're like, that is 100%. Now that I'm seeing it with my eyes, my brain is like, yes, ID confirmed, even though I gave you faulty information in that dossier.
Here's one that's stuck in my head. It's like a memory from really little where we went to Disneyland. My parents dropped me off at like the kids go play while your parents go drink thing. So they could have one night to themselves.
I was going to say, which back then wasn't a thing, which means they dropped you with the same guy who was selling your mom that costume. Yeah, I work for the parks officially. And they're like, why are you in the parking lot? It's like, look, you want to go have drinks with your husband or not? She's like, yeah.
That's not Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Oh,
but
God.
you run into this situation where you encounter toys that are just all mixed together. Like in the toy bin, it was a Lando toy. I remember the Lando figure and a spaceship that I think might have been a Star Trek shuttle, but like, did they even have Star Trek toys back then? Like, what was this shuttle that I was playing with that was like, and it's like one of those things that just pops up at least a couple times a year where you're like remembering that and being like, what the fuck was that shuttle toy? I mean, what was that?
In
And
your
I'll
mind's
never know.
eye, do you see a picture or even a loose abstract picture of it? Or is it a file not found where your brain is like, look, I don't remember what it looks like, but it was definitely a gray shuttle.
I could tell you exactly how the stickers were falling off that thing.
Nice.
Like it's a gray shuttle that looked like a Star Trek shuttle, like it's a oblong cube with like the runners underneath it. But not Star Wars, definitely not Star Wars. So some other sci-fi toy, maybe a V toy. I don't know. Late 80s.
There were no V toys released in America, as far as I know. There was a couple in Spain and some other bootlegs from other countries.
Huge missed opportunity.
Gigantic. I don't think they realized kids were watching, but
I mean, man, you need a toy that can unhinge his jaw and stuff a little guinea pig down it, right?
for sure, that would be a big seller. I don't know if it would I would rather have the shuttle landing craft. That killed me too, because in the frigging show, they had toys. And even as a kid, I understood that was not real. I understood that like someone working for the show made one of those, and even the figures look super handmade. But I was like, oh man, that looks so cool.
I also like from back in our time, like the ice water color change thing. You could have like the human face, then rub the green to like, yeah, right. That would be dope. Toy technology was peak when we were kids. Now I haven't seen anything. When I go and like peruse the aisles with Sammy just to see like what toys are out, nothing is like, oh wow, that's sick. Nothing is would, because like I would still buy a toy today. I know what cool toys are. When we were
would
kids,
buy a toy, or you do?
Oh, I mean, I buy.
Don't you buy toys like yeah? I mean, are you serious? What do you mean
like,
you would?
I would buy like a kid's toy. Like if there was a dope Ninja Turtle with some sick like pizza chucking action, I would buy that. I don't care. But like there isn't. It's all like they've run out of ideas instead of just going back to the well and re-releasing, which they are already doing.
Which they're doing, like, and they just released. Target has Ninja Turtles that chuck pizza.
But like they're just I don't know. The toy technology is not the same. Super Soaker technology is just down to dumpster. Nerf technology, not as cool as it was 10 years ago. What is going on with children's toys?
Okay. Oh, check this out, okay? Kent and I went to Missouri to visit my awesome Aunt Roberta last week. And I was like, we got to go to a local comic book store. Actually, that's not even true. Aunt Roberta is so cool. She said, we got to go to the local comic book store. And I was like, hell yeah, that's why you're friggin' Aunt Roberta. So, and Aunt Roberta loves me and she loves Kent. So we go to this, and Uncle David go to this comic book store, and it is awesome. I could have stayed there for 2-3 hours just looking at toys. They had a lot of old toys from when we grew up, a little bit earlier, but mostly later. Tons, brand new in boxes, played with and used in bags, and tons of comics, old back issues. So we're looking around. Kent falls in love with the 1990 Batman accessory set. It comes with the Tim Burton yellow Batman belt. It comes with 4, neon orange suction cup darts. It comes with a plastic Batarang. It comes with 2 rubber wrist gauntlets that you put on your arms, and it's got the Batman triangles on the forearms. And It comes with a pretty movie accurate cocking dart gun to put these little darts in. Now, it didn't even matter that when we got it home and he finally was able to cock it by himself and shoot it, it maybe shot 2 feet out of the gun. It looked fucking awesome. And the sculpting of the gun looks a lot like the gun that he has, the grappling gun that he has in the first 2 movies, except it's got a big orange hat. Kent's like, what? But this isn't one. And Kent cannot do that. If Kent has on a black shirt and it has any sort of graphic or picture on the front, he turns that shit inside out when he's using it to play Venom or Batman or whatever, because that's not what Batman has. And I was the same exact way. Tune into our trick or treat Halloween costume episode if you want to hear me go on a rant about how my kid costumes needed to be accurate, but he inherited that.
No, 100%. This is also why I had one Batman toy and he looked like Batman. He didn't have like red. Yeah, he didn't have red laser boots. He didn't have. I
thought of you because I saw the one that comes with the skis and he has laser goggles, and they're like, what are you doing? That's not really bad. That's the opposite of Batman, but whatever. He was like, why is there an orange? And it's bright orange. He's like, why is there an orange cap on there? And I told him that police were mistaking children that had guns. And he was like, and they shot them? I was like, I don't know. And he was like, they're dead? And I was like, no, I think they were, because I realized I had walked too quickly into that conversation without thinking of it, And I was like, when I was little, our guns looked like guns. And we risked the mean streets of Long Island, East Meadow, Long Island, so that we could play with a movie-accurate shotgun or a movie-accurate Tech 9 and
100%.
Run around and hang out of trees of that.
But when we were kids, cops said, put your hands up before they shot you in the face. Like, I kid you not.
They gave you a fighting chance.
Yeah. Because so I've had multiple interactions with police and my toy guns, and obviously I lived. One, I'm filming a Vietnam film in the woods at night, and our neighbors called the cops on us, and I have real AK-47s that are demilled shipped to me. I rented them from a movie props company with the money I had raised from my summer job. This is like in high school, and the cops came out and were like, holy shit. And we turned, and there's a cop standing there, and he's like, doesn't know what he should be doing. And I was like, we're filming a movie. And he immediately settled the fuck down. Today, they just be like, pop, 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 pop. Got him.
Oh, yeah. Your
And
movie
then
would
they
have the
sprinkle
best effects, the best blood effects ever.
They sprinkle some crack on my body and walk away. Like, oh, man. But yeah, Sammy asked the same hard-hitting questions. Like, she's like, are they dead? Did they get killed? And you're like, yep. Like, I'm not even sugarcoating. I'm like, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And the other
I
day,
try not to lie, so if I can get out of it, I will, but I won't say no.
But like, so she got a Batman toy.
But I scored.
Who's going?
A regular Batman?
Yeah, she got a little Batman. Well, it's like a pink plastic Batman and a pink plastic Harley Quinn that came in a McDonald's box, and she's playing with him. And she goes, now I'm going to kill you. And Kate and I were like, oh no, oh no. And we were like, we don't play that. And she's like, why not? She's a bad guy. And I was like, yep, but that's not a game we play. We had to like explain it. Like, we tried not to be violent.
We're doing the same thing. It's like when we played cops when we were little. Did you ever play it? Like, did you play like essentially cops and robbers? Did you ever arrest anybody? Ever?
Hell no. Blah, blah, blah.
No. And here's the funniest part is like last week I watched The Last Boy Scout, which I think is beautiful, perfect. Very it's very much Shane Black, but like it's an amazing early 90s action movie. But when you compare it to everything else in the same time frame, anything that Bruce Willis has ever done, nobody was saying put your hands up. Nobody was saying you're under arrest. It was like he did that and now I'll shoot him. And sometimes they shot people who were no longer a threat. They were either running away or were down and out. And they'd give them a great one-liner and blow them the fuck away. And like we emulated that, you know? Which is
fucking Cobra.
That's like that's the one I was just thinking of. Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, you watch Dirty Harry, and the guy's like, "I don't have a gun." He's like, "Good, pop." Just like, oh,
it's very interesting. It's a sign of the times and everything. But yeah, it's and I think, and I'm a huge Mr. Rogers guy. I just recently read something like a letter that a parent sent to him saying, "Hey, listen, my kid is like really into guns, and I don't really want that." And Mr. Rogers assured the parent it's super developmentally appropriate. There's a whole power trip thing there, especially for boys, but for boys or girls to realize that the life or death can be changed with an instant, with an implement that's in your hand. And to play with that is huge power. It makes a lot of sense. It's almost very similar to like Godzilla or a superhero, right? Like when you pretend to be Godzilla or pretend to play with Godzilla, you're pretending, you're assuming that identity that you're crushing buildings and fighting kaiju that empowers you. So it's like, talk to them about it, explain about it. If you're uncomfortable, explain that and explain why. So we do that with Kent all the time. He's like, I hear you. Bah, 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 you're dead. It's like, I get it. I don't have to like it. And I don't have to like same thing. We don't play for killing. We don't play guns unless you're in the living room. But yeah, it's a different time now, right? Like, I don't want him outside pretending to play guns because who knows what the fuck. And I live in a great neighborhood. Who knows what the fuck is going to happen out there, right?
So when I was a kid, I was the cool kid. My parents bought us a full laser tag set, front, back vest, laser guns.
Wow.
Enough for a bunch of kids to play. Like up to like 5 or 6 kids could play. And we had a birthday party.
But they didn't let you watch awesome R-rated movies, so you didn't know what to do with them.
So we ran around and we were shooting each other, and 2 of my friends got in like a little tussle on the ground, trying to hold the guy down and pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
Like you do. They called the cops, and the cops rolled up and were like, "You're trespassing."
What neighborhood do you live in that doesn't allow Vietnam reenactments and laser tag?
It's a Karen-y neighborhood where they just, the second they see kids having fun, they're calling the cops. To be
They
fair,
cut to like an old man who stormed a beach at Normandy, and he's looking out the window, and he's like, "Children shouldn't have to play that way."
to be fair, if I saw teenage boys going into the woods with AK-47s, I'd probably call the cops. Too
Oh,
now.
you
Oh,
that
oh
you're
my God.
3PO now. You're goodness gracious me, Master Luke. This boy's with AK-47s.
The other day, I'm outside sitting on my front porch. We're just hanging out, having a glass of wine. And I see these kids kind of running down the side that aren't our neighbors. And I go, "Hey, what's going on?" And the kid goes, "Oh, you scared the shit out of me. I mean, poop." And I was like, okay. And he's like, "Hey, do you know if a kid has like a cousin here tonight? Because I think he's a kid who snitched on me. We're going to ding dong ditch." And I go, "Why would you tell me that?"
I was going to say,
here.
awesome that he told you that.
And he goes, "Oh, you're not going to snitch on us, are you?" And I think about it for a second. I go, "Hell yeah, I'm going to snitch on you. I'm an old man. Get out of my neighborhood. Don't you dare knock on my neighbor's door. I don't even think they have guests. I don't even think you're at the right house. I think you're in the wrong neighborhood. Are you going to call the cops? Are you going to stick around to find out?" And the kids took off. And I was like, and Kate goes like, "They're going to come dig dong ditch our house." I was like, "We have
For
a ring
sure.
doorbell." Yeah, but we have a ring doorbell.
It's
They're
a
already on
ring
camera.
doorbell.
Of course I'm going to call the cops. And they're going to roll up and go, "Pow, pow, 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 pow," and sprinkle the crack on them and run away.
Damn, dude.
I'm old
right,
now,
so-
man.
I'm going to give you a great transition. I'm going to call it out, but to a slightly more serious topic. Did you hear about or watch or know anything about Adolescence on Netflix?
Oh, I binge watched the whole thing in one night and it ruined me.
God damn. So someone told me, someone at school, a friend of mine at school was like, "Oh, you should watch Adolescence at school." And I was like, okay, no context. Then one night on Netflix, I'm flipping through and I read the description and I'm like, "Oh, damn, that looks pretty cool." So I throw it on. Me and Amanda are in bed. She's already starting to go to sleep. When she goes to sleep, she's like a fucking mummy. She puts on like an eye mask, covers her mouth, covers her ears. She listens to a podcast. She's like in another world. But and in her defense, I do watch a lot of horror, action, thrillers, whatever. Even at night, that's how I fall asleep. She's like a minute and a half in. I have the subtitles on because it's English, and like I can't understand what they're saying. Two cops in a car, and I'm like, what? And it was like literally a minute and a half, and she's like, "Can you lower that?" And I was like, I can't even understand what they're saying as it is. So I go, okay, I need to watch something a little bit different tonight. I would later put it on and got sucked in. For those of you who have not seen it, it is about an adolescent kid, a young teenage kid, is accused of murdering another kid. And that's literally all I knew. I start the show, and about 2 minutes in, I realize they haven't cut. The show starts with two cops in a car, and you're looking in the passenger window. They have a conversation, and then the camera. Actually, that's not true. It starts with the one cop outside of the car, and you're on him. Then he walks back to the car. You come with him, and then end up on the other side of the car, looking through at him and his partner, who's in the passenger seat. They talk for a minute, and then they radio, and they're starting like a bust. So the camera pulls back, and their car pulls out, and you see they're in a line of cop cars. You go with them. The cars are driving. They hit a T intersection, and a couple cop vans, because we're in England, are coming towards you at the T intersection, and now you're above them, either on a crane or on a
drone.
A drone.
It's a drone
them.
Handoff.
You follow them for a couple streets to this house, where they then kick in the door and are putting the whole family down, and they arrest this kid in his bed. But it's all one shot. And the entire episode continues from that. They arrest this kid, and there's crazy drama in the house. The dad and mom are like, "What are you doing? He's a teenager." And they find the right person. They read him his rights. He has an accident, and you don't see it, but he changes his pants as you leave the room with a cop. You come downstairs with him in handcuffs. You get into a van with them, and you drive with them all the way to the police station. And then the rest of the episode, you as the POV camera person are being passed off from character to character, walking and sitting around this police station. It is amazing. And I have to say, like, from a technological standpoint, at least, and a production standpoint, it is one of the coolest produced things that I've seen in a long time. And for a minute, it takes a minute to get used to it, but I could not get over the fact that it had not cut. And like, we all know that there are hidden cuts and things. This series is 4 episodes long. It's about 50 something minutes long an episode. There were 2 places where I think I found a cut in the entire 4 episodes.
Netflix promises that there are no cuts. And after seeing it, I almost believe them.
That's what I say. There are 2 places where I suspect there was a cut, because a lot of times you'll feel the camera lock off on a blank background or something that doesn't have anything organic or moving in it. And you're like, okay, you could have frozen there. Or if it goes into black, or a person crosses so close to camera, they obscure it for a quarter of a second. That's enough to hide a cut. There's only 2 spots where I feel that I noticed that happened, and I feel like I was looking. But as far as a show, it is so engaging that you'll be like 20 minutes in and realize, oh shit, I forgot to pay attention to if it was cutting or not. It was that engaging that I wasn't, like, my suspension of disbelief was there. I was in it, you know?
I'm so obsessed with a one shot. And what drew me into this, the day it was released, I started seeing people being like, it took 10 takes to do the first episode, 16 takes to do the 4th episode, 2 takes to do the 3rd episode, and they just went through how many times they ran through it. And they did it every day for 5 days, morning and night, morning and night, morning and night. And they would just run through it over and over again. And like the 2nd episode has 150 extras in the background, the drone catch, taking the camera, attaching it to the drone flies, lands, you take it off of the drone, run it through the front door. I was so intrigued by that you did 4 episodes as a oneer. That's insane to me. That's insane. I have to see it. And watching it, the 1st episode, the 2nd episode, and the 4th episode are insanely choreographed. The 3rd episode is 2 people in a room talking. Yeah.
Almost the entire time.
And it's still so gripping and so well acted and so heavy that you are just locked in to make 2 people in a room interesting for a full 30 minutes. How long is each episode? 45 minutes?
I think 50 something minutes. And that one has a little bit before and after. But think about it, man. Like, we know from how fast and often things cut now, that is a way to keep your attention. A lot of times, long shots can get monotonous. This is 2 characters in a room for like 40 minutes there's one time where one character leaves and you leave with her, but then you go back to that room. But you're in that room for 20 minutes at a clip with only 2 characters. And not only is it still engaging, the same shot, the camera's moving. It's almost always moving to different spots back and forth, but it is still ridiculous to have that level of engagement and interest and tension in a one shot like that. Christ.
Here's another crazy thing to think of. In the 4th episode, there's a moment where the family gets in a van and drives to a Home Depot. I don't know what it's called. It's a hardware store. You had to plan out how long that took to get from the set 1, where the house set is, the location, to the hardware store, and plan all that in between. And it has to be perfect, because when that van drives up and the camera literally mounts to the front of the van and they're driving the whole time and telling jokes and telling stories and being a family and trying to get over this tragedy, they land, the camera slides off the rack that was attached to the front and then continues on its way. And you're like, unbelievable that you were able to time that out perfectly and pull this off. Hats off to the camera crew. Stephen Graham, who plays the father in this, who I remember him as Tommy the Tit from fucking Snatch, just delivers the performance of a lifetime. Incredible. I was a mess.
The kid in the 3rd episode got me, that because it's serious. It's about a kid who's accused of murder, and at the I'm not going to say what happens later, because it it's a whodunit for a certain amount of time at least. But this kid is accused, and he's saying, "I'm not doing it," and it seems weird. They're trying to figure out why. So you're part of the investigation, and every one of these characters is so good, and you're like, well, why did that happen? How did that happen? And the police are it's the first couple minutes or the first day really of this investigation. So they're talking to these different kids at the school and stuff and trying to figure out who knew who and why. Was the victim related to the suspect at all, et cetera, et cetera. And to follow it organically through a story like that, it is amazing. And we've seen things like Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? That have a loose script where there's a lot of ad-libbing, there's a lot of fudging, there's a lot of natural dialogue that happens in between scripted jokes. This doesn't feel that way. There is not a lot of like line flubs or like, working around a word that you forgot. It feels like a super rehearsed, tight scene. And if you guys are not either understanding or maybe you don't have knowledge of production, like what Erin is saying about this drive, these characters are in a car singing and talking and telling stories. They tell a story from when the mom and the dad met while singing a song on the way from home to Home Depot. But they had to time that drive. The actors, the camera people, they had to rehearse that so that they stopped their dialogue at the correct spot of pulling into a parking spot. And like, if you were off by 10 seconds, how weird would it have been? And I'm sure there are ways to build in either extra or take out lines as needed. But that means you're making decisions on the fly. It's really is almost like the difference between like live theater and television or taped, movies or something.
This is live theater, but
it's incredible.
The actors have to hop in a car and drive to the hardware store around the corner. Like insane. It's so good. The moment that really kicked me off, though, is in the first episode. The dad is insistent, I'm going to be with my son. I'm going to be with my son. Son, I got you. I got your back. And you're like, oh, he's being a good dad. Oh, man, I don't know what's going on with this kid, but like he's being a good father. And then they sit him down in the interrogation room and they're like, hey, what's going on? The kid's like, I didn't do it. And he's like, he didn't do it. Listen to my kid. Listen. And they show him a video and we don't see what happens on the video, but the dad starts breaking down. And they're sitting next to each other, and it's the last shot, and they're pulling back, and the kid tries to reach over and touch his dad's shoulder, and the dad's crying, and the dad pulls away from him, and you were like, "Oh shit, that rocked me, man! Oh, that rocked me."
And it really is like they don't show you the video, so you're not sure. You have the kids swearing up and down that he didn't do it, and the dad says, "Do you promise?" He says, "I will be behind you, no matter what." But you gotta tell me, is this true? Did you do something to this girl? And he's like, no, I didn't. I promise you. But clearly he's under arrest for it. And they say that they have him on video. So the story unfolds further from there. And it is, so let's say it's like slight spoilers. So it's only 4 episodes on Netflix. It's on there right now. It's new. It's only up there for like the last couple weeks or so. So if you don't want to you don't want to hear spoilers or slight spoilers, don't listen now. But that 3rd episode is him in a holding facility. They say it's like a psych ward. And you come into the building with this younger, slightly pretty, very casual psychiatrist, and she's supposed to meet with him. And they meet, and they've met before, and she brings him a hot chocolate and a sandwich, and it's all a really nice conversation. And you get the idea that she's trying to learn from him what happened, and she explains to him that she's there to figure out if he understands the charges against him and if he's fit to stand trial, essentially. And at one point, spoiler, at one point during this, and you're in this room for, like Erin said, almost the whole episode, at one point, he loses his shit. He smacks a hot chocolate off the table and gets in her face. And that's the first time you've seen him act like that in 2.5 episodes. And it is like getting hot chocolate splashed on you. You're like, whoa, I was not ready for this. And the way the emotional roller coaster of this 145, 50-minute episode, and this kid, I don't remember seeing a child actor act with this much range and believable. Like, he is scary. And then it will slowly roll around to her, and she's trying not to act scared in front of him, but you can tell that she is petrified, but is
Rattled.
trying to keep it together. And like, think about how hard that is to tell someone, hey, you're going to act like you're really scared, but like you are trying not to be really scared and mostly succeeding in that. Because he gets in her face a couple times, and it is jarring. As an audience who knows that this is fake and I'm not directly involved, it is kind of terrifying for a couple minutes at a time here and there. And she does a fantastic job. And he settles back down, and he does a fantastic job. It is like, it really is pretty nail-biting, I gotta say.
Owen Cooper is that kid's name. It's his first thing he's ever done.
And it's fantastic, right?
Yeah, fantastic. I was so impressed with this. I tell everybody, like, just for the technicality alone, it's impressive, but the fact that it's so well acted and so timely and really important, I think it's a very, very, very well done series. Heavy though, real heavy.
I was just gonna say, the warning is, this is not a I'm going to bed soon show. This is not a, hey, honey, what do you want to watch tonight? This is like, you got to crack your knuckles and you got to roll your neck out both before and after you're done watching it, because there's a lot going on here. It is about, kids being hard on kids, and it is rough.
I watched
I guess
some cool
society
movies
as a
this week.
whole, right? Because it makes some pretty big statements. You watch what?
I said I got some movies to talk about, but yeah, finish your thought on it.
Did I lose you?
No, you're still there.
Oh, it's just, I'm saying it is a heavy show, but like I have not been impressed. This is the kind of show that you want to go out for coffee or hot wings with your buddy and dissect, because and I can't think of many other movies that I've seen in the last, month or two that I wanted to like really pick apart and dive into.
It's this one. I mean, we could. It's not really on brand for our show, but we could get into what it's all about. But it's so heavy, man. It really is, the state of youth today, and just like how corrupting the internet can be, and we were a generation that I can't believe we got out as unscathed. And we're the generation that you could just like Google search a beheading and it would pop up. We didn't have Google. What was it? Internet Explorer. Like we had complete unfettered access to the gnarliest of the gnar that has now been pushed down to 4chan only. But like when we were coming up on the internet, like we had full access to the craziest shit. And now the internet is like worse in some ways and tamer in others. Like it's more controlled, but at the same time, people don't seem to know how to decide what's real and fake, and everybody gets stuck in their ecospheres and don't know how to break out of that and don't know how to interact with other human beings anymore. And I think this is such a great commentary because it doesn't solve the problem, and that's part of why I think it's also brilliant. Is it doesn't say here's how we fix it.
Right. It also is not like a preachy thing. Like it's not like nobody talks about internet bullying and stuff in the show, but there are elements that come up during the investigation that they're like, oh shit. And that the show is saying, hey, this is important, but it's not, what I thought it was almost, now I can't remember the name of it, but there was another show that was about a girl who commits suicide because she was being bullied. And they find like 13 tapes or something like that. It might have been called.
Yeah. 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah, there you go. That was a really good show, I thought. And I liked it for what it was. But I felt like it was for teenagers because a lot of the stuff felt a lot of the ways that they tried to have a scene unfold or a message roll out felt very juvenile to me. Where I was like, are you not talking to me? Are you talking to the 20-year-old next to me? I feel like this adolescence was the 35 to 45-year-old demographic version of that, where it's like, hey, this is important and it's happening more than we think, and it could happen to you. Here's what it could be. And you're like, oh, fuck. Because 13 Reasons Why was important and topical and everything. But I also thought it was, I don't know, it wasn't reaching me on my level. Not that I'm saying I'm above it, but I felt like the tone of it and
it was an adolescence thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
this
a
is
young
literally an
adult
adolescence thing, but it's for us about them, you know?
Well, and it goes to show that your family can be doing everything right. They weren't an abusive family. They weren't a mean family. They weren't pushing him one way or the other. They just weren't aware of what he was doing online. And that is so easy to do because I had a computer in my room, unfettered access. You know, we just live in a time where it's so easy for a kid to fall down that rabbit hole and you have no idea. Because you're like, I raised him to be good. I raised him to be smart. I raised him to know better. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean a thing when it comes to the echo chamber that they get stuck in.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Ugh.
If you haven't checked it, it's worth the watch. You got to take a shower after, or at least rinse your eyes. But it is it's
so
good. And it's worth thinking about. And it's worth talking about.
I think it's the best thing I've seen all year. But I watched some really good movies this last week.
Hit me.
I watched a French film from 1955, and it's called Diabolique. Have you seen this one?
No, but I know what it is, and it's on my list. But yeah, that's a classic.
Classic. And it was so good. I'd never seen it before. It's been on my list forever. Finally sat down to watch it. And it's a French film from 1955. And it is a banger, dude. It is like on par for me as like The Bad Seed. Like that cool.
Wow.
Yeah. The Bad Seed is better, but this is like in a movie that you're like, damn, ahead of its time and like really cool. So you have a boys' school and the principal there, and he's a piece of shit. And you meet his wife, and she's sick. She has a heart condition, and you meet his mistress, and they both work at the school together. And they don't say it, but they hint that they're doing some stuff too. He is a piece of shit. He's slapping him. He's abusing him. He's giving him black eyes. He's a real piece of shit. And they decide to run away and lure him to them and to murder him. And they have this plan. And the plan's pretty, like 30s, the adults. Okay. But they lure him to the mistress's apartment, which is closer into town, and they get him and his wife is there. The mistress is upstairs creating an alibi. The wife gets him drunk and there's like sleeping pills inside the booze. He passes out, and then the mistress comes downstairs, fills up the bathtub, and they sink him in the bathtub. And you get some gnarly close-up shots of his face being pushed under the water and like his eyes rolling back in his head. And they leave him in there overnight. And then the next morning they put him in a big wicker basket, and they take him back to the school, and they dump him in the gross swimming pool, which is out of use. And they start getting paranoid because it's like, when are they going to find the body? It's all part of the plan. But they're like trying to figure out. And then they're like, well, we're going to force it. And one of the women throws their keys in the pool, and they're like, we got to drain the pool. They drain the pool. There's no body. And now they're running around town looking for him, and like clues start popping up, like receipts at hotels and dry cleaning bills. And it's like, oh no, what is going on? And it gets more and more paranoid and crazier and crazier. And it has this amazing moment because the wife who has this heart condition, she keeps getting panicked and almost like getting, these crazy, like walk down the hallway real slow. Her heart's beating. She's going into a heart attack mode. It was so well done and had a pretty solid twist in it. It's really good. And it's all around this disappearing body. Great scenes. The ending's a banger. I just loved it. I cannot recommend it more. For 1955, I think it's way ahead of its time. I think it's one of those movies that also because it's older, I'm giving it some leeway for some of its more cliche aspects.
Sure.
That I give it a pass. Whereas I think it didn't get stellar reviews when it came out because they're like, oh, it's kind of cliche. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe just because it's old, I give it a pass.
Well, I guess also cliches differ over time, right? So it might have felt more cliched then than it does now.
Yeah, maybe.
I like this. I haven't seen it. I didn't even know what it was about, but I know it's a classic and I know it's like film school level awesome. Now I want to check it out because I love the idea. And this might just be because I'm like super type A and a little bit anxious as a person. But like I love the idea of possibly being murdered and then maybe not actually being all the way dead, but still going to get your dry cleaning because you said there was a dry cleaning receipt. So I love the idea that he like wakes up in the pool and swims. I don't know, and I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if this is a spoiler, but I don't know if he like gets out and is like, oh my goodness, I've been plotted against, but I gotta pick up those fucking shirts before Friday.
It's done as that's funny. It's done as like a threatening thing. Like he got if he survived. Which, right. We saw him shoved under the water. If he survived, he's now sending the dry cleaning to them to be like, I got you. And like, it's
right. It's I know what you did last 50s.
Yeah, it's the most threatening dry cleaning return you've ever seen.
I love it. And that's probably one of my, at least currently, one of my favorite genres is like a thriller like that. And Aaron always says that a thriller is like a horror movie, but no supernatural element. So I'm assuming that there's no supernatural in this. And I love that. And I love a killer. I love a whodunit. 50s was such a great time for that type of movie. And again, I love the idea of watching a foreign film to see, there's nuances, both, I guess, nuances and big tells in the storytelling of different countries and different types of people, different peoples. So it's really interesting. It'll be really interesting to watch what their murder mystery, their film noirish type thing would be, especially at the height of that type of movie, that type of storytelling,
So the director of that, Henry George Clouzot, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Sorry, homie. He did a movie in 1953 called The Wages of Fear. Have you seen this one?
No, but again, it's the same thing. I know about it. I know what the criterion looks like,
Yeah. Have you seen a movie called Sorcerer?
I don't think so.
So Sorcerer has Sheriff Brody from Jaws.
Are you saying sorcerer like a wizard or sorcerer, someone who sources things?
Sorcerer like a wizard. There's a movie from so after The Exorcist comes out, the director of that movie, who I'm pulling his name up, William Friedkin, they're like, you can do whatever you want. He's like, I want to remake Wages of Fear. And they're like, what? And so he goes and makes like one of the most expensive films ever made. And it's got Roy Schneider in it. But anyway, Sorcerer is a remake of this and is incredible. I finally got around to watching the original Wages of Fear. French guys in a South American town. They've all run out of money and they're like, what are we going to do? And these Americans are like, hey, we have a giant oil fire in the middle of the jungle. One of our oil wells blew up and it's just burning into the sky. And we need to blow it up to close it. But we can't drive the nitroglycerin there. We don't want to lose any men. So we'll pay some of you losers to go do it for us. And nitroglycerin, if there's a bump or a shake or it gets jostled, it explodes. So 2 trucks filled to the brim with cans of nitroglycerin have to drive through the jungle to get to this thing. And it is just so tense. It takes about 45 minutes to get through the character building, which my wife was like, it took way too long to get going. And I'm like, I feel that. I totally do. But when you get to the trucks trying to drive through the jungle, it is incredible. So well done, so tense, just on the edge of your seat the whole time. I thought it was great.
And that is one of those movies / stories / concepts that's been done and over good. There was a Mandalorian episode that mirrored that too. Remember?
Exactly. There's a
forget what
Little House
season,
on the
but-
Prairie episode that does this.
It's called Little Wages on the Prairie.
No, but apparently they're bringing the nitroglycerin, but then they try to blow up a rock and they find out it was water and they were being lied to. That doesn't happen in this movie, but yeah, Kate was like, I saw this episode of Little House. My wife loves Little House on the Prairie. That's why it comes up so much.
I will check it out.
Oh yeah, what have you been watching, man?
Well, I'll give you this. I think we're getting close to the end, but why don't you tell me? Do you want me to tell you about a comic, at least concept, or do you want me to tell you about a movie?
A movie.
Okay. I saw the night before last night, I saw Warfare, which I was dying to see. Warfare just came out. It's in theaters. I missed it in IMAX, and I'm kicking my ass. It is the most recent Alex Garland movie. It's co-directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza, and it also was co-written by both of them. Alex Garland, if you've been listening to Aaron and I for the last year, you know that I have a huge movie man crush / hard on for him. He did Ex Machina. He did Civil War. He did Men, which is like one of my favorite creepy thriller horror movies of the last at least couple of years that I've seen. And I know it's a little older than that.
Annihilation.
Yeah, good. Men, good. Oh, that's right. He did Annihilation, which is not necessarily my favorite, but he is awesome. I don't know Ray Mendoza as much, although looking through his IMDb, I've seen a bunch of stuff that he has done. He did Safe House, which I saw. He was executive producer on that. He's only written and directed one movie, which is Warfare. Civil War, we've talked about. That movie created such tension that I was uncomfortable watching that movie, and I loved it. I immediately bought it on Blu-ray and have not had the balls to open it and rewatch it yet because that movie scares the goddamn piss out of me. And it is just, my hackles are up the whole movie. It's so good. So I wanted to see Warfare, even though it's very similar looking as Civil War. It is amazing. I did not read any specific reviews about it yet because I didn't want to know anything until I saw it. I just saw it. It's got a bunch of people in it who you would recognize. It's got Cosmo Jarvis in it, Will Poulter, who doesn't play like a Will Poulter character. It's got a dude that I don't know who I'm going to kill his name, but it's DeFaro Woon Ati. He was fantastic. It's got Michael Gandolfini, who was just in the most recent Daredevil show. And I didn't really care for him there because he plays a cartoon character. It wasn't his fault, but he does a great job in this. Really, everybody in this does an amazing job. The movie is about a real-life thing, a real-life event that happened in the Afghanistan war in, I think, 2006. And essentially, there is a squad of guys, a platoon of guys, breaks into two, and they go into this house. They take over this house, and they're monitoring enemy activity in the area, and they get attacked. And they get attacked hard. It is very Black Hawk Down in that this is not about the excitement and the coolness and the tacticalness of war. The whole first 20, 30 minutes of this movie is amping it up. You're seeing them in rooms looking out the window. They've made holes in the walls, and there's a sniper out, and he's clocking all these different people who may be threats, and you're waiting for something to happen. And when finally something happens, it's kind of like you're ready for it, but something happens. I won't explain what, but something happened and literally blows things up, kicks things off, and they're under attack. Someone is hurt, and they need to get that guy out of there. So, okay, we're trying to deal with this situation. They call in a tank to come and pick up the wounded guy. Then there is a second attack that fucks shit up. And now multiple guys are very hurt, and they have to fend off attackers while keeping their guys safe and helping these guys. They lose their air support. They can't have an evac come. There's another group of guys close by who are also being attacked. They have to come help these guys. And the whole time, it is just, I mean, I'll tell you the truth. When I walked out of the theater, my arms were aching as if I had been lifting weights, just because my whole body was tense the whole time. Because Alex Garland, I think, does an amazing job at this. Is you are tense the whole time. You're like, get those guys out of there. You got to get those guys out of there. Okay, you got to move. You got to move. You got to get out. Got to get out. But also, you got to stop that bleeding, that guy's leg. I know that you're setting this up so that I understand that's an immediate thing. Okay, now you have to get comms back. How are you going to get comms back? And it's just one thing after another. And it is not Platoon, where there's a cool battle scene and then there's drama and then there's cool battle scenes. This is not about cool battle scenes. This is about, oh my God, these guys are in danger. Get out. It's that when you watch a horror movie and you know the killer is in there, but the girl doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, no, he's in there. He's going to pop out. I know he's going to pop out. Well, it might be that closet, and then it's not. And then it might be that closet, but it's not. But you know he's in there. It's like that, but the whole fucking movie. So
Black Hawk Down did that.
It's very much Black Hawk Down, but Black Hawk Down almost wasn't as, I would say, I don't want to say it wasn't as serious in tone, but there was some really good action in that. There is really only one or two scenes that I would call action in this movie, and Black Hawk Down was paced in such a way. And I don't know if either of these movies is true to the pacing and event schedule that happened in real life, because they're both based on true events, right? But Black Hawk Down, there was firefighting and shooting, and then there was drama. And then there was firefighting, and they had to accomplish something. One guy had to get from here to there, and he either did or he didn't. And then they dealt with the fallout from that. This is just, the house is on fire. We need to get out of here, but we can't get out of here. The house is on fire. We need, not literally, metaphorically. They try this, that doesn't work. They try this, that doesn't work. It is, and it's real. And I think there's a title card at the beginning that says something like, explains the situation that there was a sniper team helping out another group, and this is what happened. And it said this movie was made using only their memories. I think I might be paraphrasing it just a bit, but you're like, what an interesting way to phrase that and say that. And then when the movie ends, they say it's dedicated to one of the guys in the movie. And in the credits, while the credits roll, they are showing a little bit of behind the scenes footage, and they're showing the real military forces men and their actor counterparts, sometimes working together, sometimes training. And a lot of the military dudes had their faces blurred, which I thought was really interesting. So it was really interesting to see that they had a lot of it seems like they had a lot of input from people who were actually there at the location.
Wow.
Gripping, really, really gripping, and definitely your jaw hurt. You know what I mean? You had to wiggle your jaw at the end because it was so tense.
I have so many movies that I want to see in theater right now. That's on my list. Sinners is at the top of my list. I'm desperate to see that in theater. That looks so good. Michael Coogler's new movie. Ryan Coogler's new movie.
I'm excited to see that. Oh, yeah. Damn. I just realized that this Cosmo Jarvis is not who I thought he was. Interesting.
He's not Iron Man's AI assistant. Yeah, Marvel joke.
I didn't realize Cosmo Jarvis he played the main character, or one of the main character, Blackthorns in Shogun. In this movie, he looked like he was the guy who played Kick-Ass, but he's not. Sorry.
Oh, it's not Aaron.
Cosmo?
Aaron, what's his name?
Correct. That's who I thought it was. And I was like, man, he just was Craven, and now he's in the army. But no, he wasn't. He was just Craven. Sorry, Cosmo Jarvis. Cosmo Jarvis is now calling Whitney Houston. He's like, get me your lawyer. I want to sue these fucking guys. He did a great job. It's a good movie and gripping. Really, 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 really gripping. Really interesting.
That's exciting.
And a great Alex Garland.
I mean, another good Alex Garland movie. I can't be mad at that. I've enjoyed everything he did. You and I really like Civil War. I know a lot of people did not. I thought that was
I loved it. This is similar because, like Civil War, if you guys have seen it, it is not about a war. That's not what it's about. There's one really cool, tense action army military sequence at the end of the movie. But the rest of the movie, there's not a lot of fighting in the movie. This movie has warfare, has way more fighting in it, but that is not what this movie is about. It is really, I almost think that the title Warfare is a misnomer. And I don't think it's actually incorrect, but it is not a movie about warfare. It is a movie about like the scariest part of warfare. It is not about the actual warfare itself. It's about surviving a war. You know, I thought a lot about the title and the title choice. And I think that's an interesting ball of yarn to kind of pull apart. Because I thought it was going to be about fighting and about armies. That's not really what it's about. It's about these guys trying to get out of this situation and just, oh my God, like you think people shooting at you is scary. It's so much more than that, you know?
Interesting. I love it. Guys, have you seen Warfare? Have you seen Sinners? Have you seen the French New Wave, Diabolique? Adolescents, let us know. Hit us up. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, at Launchpad Pod, and our website, launchpadpod.com, and on YouTube. And listen to us wherever fine podcasts are found. Tell your friends about us, like and subscribe. We're back. We got to get that momentum going again. Roll right into Comic-Con.
I was going to say, roll right into this summer. So if you guys are going to Comic-Con, start making plans now. We will let you know once we get some panels approved. But, you know, the last couple times we've gone, people have been finding us, coming up saying hi. We've done a couple things with T-shirt contests where if you come and answer questions, we'll hook you up with a sweet exclusive Launchpad T-shirt. And actually, people were more excited about that than we had anticipated. So
yeah,
let's do it again this year, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until then, Rumi, there's one thing we have to do. We haven't done this in over a month. Let's blast this thing off, buddy. Till next time, we're the Rocketeers. We're out.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4,